Once upon a time in a big city, there was a kind lady who had a pet pigeon. It was a beautiful white pigeon with grey wings and tail feathers. The lady loved the pigeon very much and she took good care of it. She gave it food and water every day. And the pigeon would coo and strut happily. But the lady was very busy, so she didn't have much time to spend with her pigeon. She looked at the pigeon and asked it, "Do you want to go to school?" The pigeon tilted its head and cooed in response. "I think you need to go to school," the lady said. "You are too smart and curious to stay home all day." The other birds were already good at singing, but the pigeon could only coo. The teacher understood that the pigeon needed more guidance and protection. It was tired but happy. It had learned a lot and made some friends. It also felt braver and more confident. It was no longer afraid or shy. It was ready to face the world and explore it. The lady was very happy to see her pigeon so happy. She knew that it had a bright future ahead of it. It would always be her little bird who loved to learn and grow. She hugged it gently and whispered, "I'm so proud of you." And the pigeon cooed softly, happy to be loved and appreciated. It was the best day in its life. She gave it some tips and told it where to look and what to eat. Then she let it search for food with her. The pigeon followed closely behind the teacher and tried to imitate what she did. It pecked at the ground, hopped over the bushes and flew to the trees. It was so proud of itself when it managed to find some seeds and berries. The teacher smiled and nodded. "You are doing great," she said. "Keep practicing and you will be a good forager in no time." The teacher understood that the pigeon needed more practice and confidence. She gave it some tips and showed it how to shape its beak and control its voice. Then she let it sing with her. The pigeon sang softly at first, but it kept trying and slowly it got better. It learned how to make different sounds, how to harmonize with the other birds, and how to express itself through its singing. It was so proud of itself when it managed to sing a complete song without stopping. The other birds applauded and the teacher praised it. "You have a beautiful voice," she said. "Keep practicing and you will be a great singer in no time. You need to learn and grow." The pigeon cooed again, this time more loudly. It seemed to say, "Okay, I'll go to school." The lady smiled and nodded. "That's the spirit," she said. "I'll take you to school tomorrow." The pigeon cooed excitedly and hopped up and down on its perch. If you want to hear more stories, please subscribe and comment below which story you want to hear next. Good night and sweet dreams. It was so happy to have a chance to go to school and learn new things. She worked all day in her shop, and at night she was too tired to play with the pigeon. It was a small school for young birds where they could learn how to fly, sing and find food. She welcomed the pigeon and introduced it to the other birds. She also showed it where everything was and what to do. The pigeon listened attentively and tried to follow the rules. The first lesson was about flying. The other birds were already good at flying, but the pigeon had never learned. It was too scared to leave its cage before. The teacher understood that the pigeon needed more time and support. She gave it some tips and encouragement and then let it practice with her. The pigeon struggled at first, but it kept trying and slowly it got better. It learned how to flap its wings, how to balance itself, and how to steer in the air. It was so proud of itself when it managed to fly a few meters without falling. The other birds cheered and the teacher praised it. "You are doing great," she said. "Keep practicing and you will be a good flyer in no time." The lady talked to the teacher and told her about the pigeon. Then she left it in the classroom with the other birds. At first, the pigeon was a bit nervous. It was in a new place with new faces and it didn't know what to expect. But then it saw the other birds, and they were all different shapes, sizes, and colors. And the pigeon realized that it wasn't alone. There were other birds who were also learning and growing. And that made it feel better. So the poor bird spent most of its time alone. It would sit on its perch and watch the world outside the window. It saw children playing in the park, dogs running in the streets, and birds flying in the sky. And the pigeon wished it could join them, but it couldn't. It was too shy and timid. One day, the lady saw that the pigeon was looking sad and lonely. She felt sorry for it and wanted to cheer it up. She thought for a moment, and then she had an idea. She went to the shop and brought back a book. It was a book about numbers, shapes, and colors. Then she sat down next to the cage and started reading to the pigeon. At first, the pigeon didn't seem interested. It just looked at her with its head tilted. But then she started to read about a little bird who went to school and learned all sorts of things. And suddenly the pigeon's eyes widened. It hopped closer to the book and started listening intently. The lady continued reading until the end of the story. Then the pigeon cooed softly and looked at her with gratitude. It seemed to say thank you for making me feel less lonely. From that day on, the lady made sure to spend more time with her pigeon. Every day she would bring back a different book from the shop and read to the pigeon. She read stories about animals, adventures, and fantasy. And the pigeon loved it. It would listen to her with its head tilted and its eyes shining with joy. It learned many new things from the books, and it also learned to love learning. It was so happy that it started singing and dancing after each story. The lady was very happy to see her pigeon so happy. She knew that she couldn't replace a real friend for the pigeon, but she could offer it something else, knowledge and companionship. She was proud that she could make the pigeon's life better, even if only for a little while. One day, the lady finished reading her book and closed it. The next day, the lady took the pigeon to a nearby school. The teacher was a kind and patient bird. The next lesson was about singing. The last lesson was about finding food. The other birds were already good at finding food, but the pigeon had never done it alone. After school, the pigeon went back home with the lady. The end. Hey, kids, I hope you enjoyed today's bedtime stories.